Thank you, Economic Times, ET, for this wonderful introduction and giving me the opportunity to talk on this topic, uh, where playbook is now become one of the key terms, playbook for best practices on any specific, which is digital marketing, whether it is fintech as a business as well, B2C, all kinds of new categories being created. Playbook is basically a blueprint of best practices, consolidation of key bullet points and themes that others can replicate so that they don't have to make the same mistakes that collectively the industry as a whole has been through and done. It gives you an opportunity for you to make newer mistakes as opposed to repeating those same mistakes. So my pleasure to talk on this topic, on this FinTech application security playbook. It is going, I have 15 minutes, so I will keep it short. Each of the points I mentioned can become a detailed write-up and research article and playbook by itself, which certainly I can have as a follow-up in one-on-one discussions or inquiries or requests that each one of you have. Or if you just want to have your point of views discussed with me, we'll be more than happy to do that. So what I'm going to present is how we see it based on the experience that we have been in the space for a long time. Indusface being an application security, web application firewall, and web application scanning company with providing a managed services for businesses to secure themselves. We have a collective experiences on many fintech customers and have put them all into what we feel is best practices that others can incorporate as part of their business. As I mentioned in my keynote speech yesterday as well, application security can be viewed as a must-have hygiene. I talked about it being looked at as a COVID vaccination equivalent for businesses, especially fintech businesses. Now I'm going to talk about how do I take that and look at it as how do I put an implementation program playbook around it, right? So before getting into the specifics of the playbook itself, I want to look at, there is a fintech explosion. I mean, there is edutech, there is health tech, there is logistics tech, all kinds of traditional businesses and verticals that existed in the market. The tech enablement for it to do better or create new categories has been one of the foundations of many, many startups and wealth creation that has happened in the industry. The fintech, especially the fin part of the tech, comes with a lot of responsibility because the fin stands for finance, right? And by its nature, it is making the business managing the wealth or giving a loan or providing better ways of access to capital to untapped segments, new credits, all those things are different segments and different areas of the fin part of the tech management, which has sprouted up many business, as can be evidenced and witnessed in the kind of audience and the kind of people that are registered to this event as well. So the fin part of the tech comes with a lot of responsibility. It is a business that can succeed only if there is this element of trust that is built with the key stakeholders, especially your customers. And for that trust, security and proactive security and best practices that the business do without having to wait for it to be asked for from the consumers is going to be imperative for the growth. Now, before getting into that, what is causing this explosion and what are the challenges to actually implement the playbook is what I will spend a little bit of time on. Now, the fintech explosion, I feel has, I mean, not just I feel, but there is a fintech playbook that Accenture put, which is a source of this information. They put it as 5, but I consolidated into top three trends. Number 1 is the ubiquitous nature of cloud computing and its adoption across all businesses, which allows you the ability to come up with a concept to idea to deployment and actually giving shape to a service for it to be usable. The time has become lesser and lesser. And I would say the main reason for that is most of the aspects of executions, deployment, management, and having the service live and up and running for people to consume it has become so easy that adoption has become one of the foundational layer for innovation and tech innovation on all this vertical, especially fintech that I talked about. So cloud computing is a key trend. And the reason for people adopting cloud computing is not for cost. Of course, cost can be a factor like anything else, like in any business, but mainly for speed and agility. The second factor which I think is creating new kinds of innovations and services, is the ability to have analytics and automation. I am purposely refraining from the use of the term AI and ML because those are mumbo jumbo. But fundamentally, what they provide is better, relevant, context-based, business-specific analytics which are actionable, and automating those analytics into actionable items where the action itself can be automated on a continuous basis. So AI, ML, analytics, automation, all of this go hand in hand. But the AI, ML is the algorithmic part, which actually has been commoditized, and the analytics part, which is basically data modeling and relevant set of data modeling and context specific to your application, is what the businesses are able to do it better with a deeper understanding of the problem, deeper understanding of their consumer base, and automate it. So analytics and automation combined with cloud computing has really, I would say, given a rocket fuel for new kinds of ideas translating into real wealth creation opportunity and wealth management opportunity that the fintech vertical is meant for. Now, the third one, which actually I would say is probably the biggest force multiplier than even the first two ones, because those are just technology enablement things. But the third one, which is open API. People are talking about open banking API, like things like about 4 years back, I heard that 80% of India's working population was new to credit. Now, the recent report I saw was just 50% of the India's population, the 400 million working class, is new to credit, right? But it's still 50%. But the point I'm trying to make here is those new to credit segment, if I take that as an example, a possibility of you to enable by integrating other uses of their engagement like Aadhaar card, UPI, and so many other sources, and the opening of those APIs allows a fintech company to come up with a very specific, better risk management, or let's say reducing a non-performing assets by giving credit to those new to credit segments. And those kind of use cases are being built in a much more effective way, which did not exist or was possible even though it was just a concept, but those concepts can get translated into real, visible, usable actions now because of this combination of these three factors. So these are the three key technology trends at a very high level, which I believe are foundations for the fintech explosions that we are seeing. Now, with this explosion and the speed of innovation, there are challenges. The topic is a playbook for application security. So before I get into the playbook, it is also important to understand what are the challenges for implementing those or putting an application security program in place. Right. The first thing is, I don't know how to preach the need for application security to anybody today, because everybody today understands there are three main triggers for the fintech company or a fintech business. Number one, I would personally say is business continuity. Number one, I would say is trust, consumer trust. Number two, I would say is business continuity, to make sure that your business doesn't go down because of threat. And number three, which probably is an amplified position for fintech, is compliance. Like banks, they had to go through RBI audits. Any kind of payment gateways has to go through PCI audits. So compliance is one of the biggest trigger and even more amplified in the fintech vertical. So these are the drivers, but really the challenges, especially tied with the previous slide I mentioned about, is with the speed of innovation and the speed of aggregation of many different services into a simplified, unified service that you are providing to your consumers, there are many moving parts, there are many changing parts, and there are continuous changes that are happening. And on top of this, the cloud providers, which is one of the key adoption, they say that everything else we take care of: network security, DNS security, payload, machine, all those things we take care of. But what you put in there, which is your application, whether it is fintech or whatever, it is your responsibility. Hence, the security of this also is a responsibility of the business. The third thing, which all of you would be already hearing about, is ransomware attacks, this attack, and there is a breach fatigue that is happening. But reality is, again, as I said, the fin part of the fintech, which is finance, hence it is a prime target for many of those ransomware attacks, which typically are carried out without any specific application, specific vulnerability exploit, but with pure denial of service or a bot attack that is causing those denial of circuits, is a very big headache and a risk for many businesses. There is nothing worse than acknowledging the risk and not being able to do anything about it, which is the quantum that many of the businesses are in right now, not because of lack of intent, but mainly because of lack of time. And more importantly, the lack of expertise or the time to build that expertise, which takes time away from their core business and core innovation, which is needed for them to stay relevant. So these are some of the key challenges. Now, how do I address those challenges? Which is why a very high level set of playbook we felt was very, very important to put in place as key takeaways. As I mentioned at the beginning, each one of them can be expanded into very specific relevant set of actionable items and a deeper playbook for the businesses, which I would certainly be willing to share my views and thoughts and content around it once we have a one-to-one call after this. Any of you come to our booths, we'll be more than happy to do that conversation as well. But number one is, every day you keep hearing news about this got attacked, that got attacked, this got breached. So there is a breach fatigue going on. For you to basically make sense out of this, the number one playbook item I would put on the table is eliminate, put the blinders, of course, read all of them, but take control of what is in your hands, which is your applications. It is your responsibility. So the focus has to be taking all these things and how is it applicable to my application is the singular focus that any business has to do as the first point of building an actionable set of programs for securing and building trust and meeting compliance requirements for your business. Now, what is your application? Not everything is going to be built by you, right? You are going to have an ecosystem of many sets of people that have been aggregated. I talked about open API as one of the key requirements, because you have the ownership of your service. You have ownership of certain components you have built, but there are very integrated components. So you'll have to insist on the same playbook concepts that you are going to follow to also be followed by the partner ecosystem or the integrations that we are doing it. So insist on security assessment and protection initiatives or the same playbook concepts that you derive for yourselves by your partners that you integrate with as well. The number three, which I would put as a key thing, is not everything can be done by yourself. So whether it is analytics, whether it is security, you have to partner with the best in breed ecosystem who do not just provide tools, but also provide the expertise on the top of those tools, so that as part of the problem that you are solving, in this case, you're talking about application security, you also make sure that besides the tools and capabilities they provide in those tools, you create a model where the ownership is with you. Maybe you'll have team, but you cannot build a full-fledged specialized team around it. You insist on specialized management. Just support and incident management services doesn't cut the bill nowadays. The bar has to be pushed. So management as part of the support services by the vendors or the OEM vendors, in addition to pure play. So it does two things. One is it raises the bar on the capability and the value you get from the OEM products, the tools you get. It also raises the bar on the pure play security service vendors that you partner with to do not just what the product should be doing by itself, but actually add value on top of it. And you, with your own in-house team, can further raise the bar one level above it to focus on the right set of things, management, project management, prioritization, everything that is relevant to your business. So create a very nice ecosystem with best in breed players, because accept the fact that not everything can be done by yourselves. So this partnership ecosystem is going to be key. Now, these are all what I would call motherhood habit statements. But finally, at the end of it, there also has to be a habit of building transparency. All of this should enable you to build transparency, share the things that you are doing with your stakeholders in a very simple manner, specifically your customers. Because if we look at all the breaches and some of the catastrophic failures that has happened because of those breaches, it is not because of the breach itself that caused that failure, because people understand that risks happen, things can go. But really what causes the failure or the business to go down is their inability to handle those breaches in a trust building, transparent, actionable manner, and evoking trust from their customers. Customers and people, they run their own business. They're very forgiving when somebody is transparent and shows the intent to fix them. Now, a lot of people have the intent, but they don't have the capability. So the first 3 bullets that I mentioned is going to enable you to build those capability as a habit. And then as a principle, transparency has to be the core of this entire program, especially with your customer, for you to build trust. Now you can double click on this and start looking at how do I build this. So suppose there is a data breach. Before waiting for an actual impact to happen, or there is a risk of a data breach, at what point do I involve the customers in, and how do I show them that I am actually proactively taking those steps to handle it? And what is it actionable I can give back to them for them to take to mitigate their own risks and their data risks? So if you build this habit, it is going to be a bigger benefit for your business because of the trust factor than just the risk mitigation benefit, which of course you will get as part of the application security program. And last is all the first 4 points is to be built, because when you have an application, there are 2 things that is must. You should have a continuous risk detection of your application, taking control of just what is in your hands, which is your application, but also extending the same process also to the APIs and the tools and the other things that they partner with. And the second thing is have a managed web application firewall, which is actually going to be a gateway. These are 2 must-haves that I think for any serious business as a tool that has to be put in place along with the playbook concepts that I mentioned about this for you to have a successful business, successful application security program that will first build trust, second, meet your business continuity goals or minimize the risks of business continuity, and third, help you meet your compliance needs. So the desired outcome of an effective application security program and putting these playbooks into action in a deeper way, these are just bullet points, but specific to your application, they can be built deeper, is it actually enables you to do faster digitization rollout, the agility part, which is imperative for a successful business and fintech business. Allows you to actually have the agile part of the agile IT platform actually in action, because that pain is taken away, and enables you to understand the fact that not everything can be done by you. Get the best in breed experts for the problem that you're solving, security, analytics, whatever it is, and create an extended and cohesive ecosystem. The ownership is with the business, but behind it, there is a very nice extended cohesive ecosystem that is being built to build a delightful customer experience, with trust being the anchor point, which is the foundation for business growth, which is what we all are for. But as I said in my keynote speech, in the fintech, the business growth also has what I would call a most exciting set of things for the country with respect to financial inclusions and access to capital to the most untapped market, which actually is going to be a force multiplier for the nation, for the business, and for the world as well. So a shameless plug to close off the entire presentation is we have been living and breathing in this area, and we have been wanting to do our part to help you implement those playbook into action. So the Aptrana, which is our core product line from Indusface offer, is anybody can get a free forever security assessment twice a week by subscribing to our product. Anybody, the protection layer and the web application firewall and the website acceleration and DDoS and bot for ransomware attack mitigation that I talked about can do a free 14-day free trial and then decide whether to subscribe to it or proceed with it or not. And as I said, putting to practice what we preach, hours of 24/7 support includes managed services backed with strong SLA and penalty clauses tied with your business continuity goals, so that you can focus on your business, innovate and grow and build trust and build your consumer base, while we take care of the application security and the implementation of the playbook concept that I mentioned here, enabling you to do that through our partnership and the extended cohesive ecosystem that I talked about. Happy to be part of that with each one of you in this business. We'll be more than happy to talk about this in detail when you come to my booth, or you can just drop an email to my company, Venkatesh.Sundar@indusface.com, and I'll be very happy to respond and have a follow-up conversation. Thank you very much and have a good day.